Welcome to Boomer and Senior Travel. I'm your host, Debbie Gerber. Today we're going to one of the top 10 most popular places in the world to travel, Cape Town, South Africa. Or so says the UK newspaper, and it came in second last year in a reader's poll with Condé Nast, a great traveler's resource. I am thrilled to take you here. I loved South Africa, and I especially loved Cape Town because of its diversity. There were so many things to see and do there, all of different varieties, everything from seeing the penguins to seeing the shanty towns, hearing the history of South Africa in Cape Town. Let's go now and overlook the city. The city is beautiful, lots of colors. It's a big city. But it has more of a small feel to it as you're going through it. When you're on the streets with the people, they're friendly. It's clean. It's a nice place to visit. One of the places that we saw was the big stadium. There's a huge stadium there. It used to be called the Green Stadium because that's what the stadium before it was called. But it is just this Cape Town Stadium. Holds about 55,000 people. It was built finished in 2009, but it was for the 2010 FIFA World Cup. Following its use for that, it has been used for concerts, for sports events, for rugby. It's a beautiful stadium with a grass field. It sits right next to the Atlantic Ocean. And also right next to this stadium, you start into the area that is the marina, or the area, the commercial area where they bring in the boats. There's a lot of shipping and trade that goes through this area. In fact, originally it was discovered by people in shipping as they tried to get around Africa, around the bottom of Africa, and to Asia, which was the prime trading place. The first people that came through here were the people from Portuguese, and they went around the Cape, but they bottom of tip of South Africa. What they didn't know was that they would hit these huge storms, and they called it the Storms. The Cape of Storms. Later, it was changed to the Cape of Good Hope. So the original people that first came here and happened to land here were the Portuguese, followed by the Dutch. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But this is a huge shipping port. A great place to stop is a rest stop just above. Take the windy road above Cape Town and look over the city. You'll see that it is a mixture of high hotels, almost skyscrapers. I'd call them really tall buildings, as well as going down as far as the shanty towns. It's a great place to just sit and relax and look over the city. One of the areas as we traveled through on our bus tour, the bus took us on a tour through Cape Town, making several stops. One of those was at Beau Cape. Beau Cape is brightly colored houses, each a different color. This street is famous for photographs because of its bright colors. This area was settled by the Malay people. This little community sits on the side hill of Signal Mountain. It is beautiful. Like I said, it's very famous. Some of these houses date back from the 17th century. A fun place to go. They have craft markets here and nice shopping, as well as just great pictures to take. I always like to get a shot of just like the power poles, because everywhere you go, they are a little bit different. Some places I've gone, the wires crisscross each other so much you can't even imagine anybody getting up to fix them. Here, the power seems to be fairly well put together. We stopped at the beach and strolled along the beach, which was always a nice experience. The beaches here are soft sand, white sand. this was an area it seemed like a lot of people took their dogs on walks. We saw an awful lot of dogs going for walks here, and they were friendly. It was beautiful to look out over the bay and see Cape Town from a different angle. From here, you could see Tabletop Mountain, although flat, it was covered by clouds that morning. It was chilly. You have to remember, we were in their winter. We were in July, which was hot for us where we are from, but it was cool there. So we were all in jackets and coats, and we were walking along the beaches. It was fun to see the dog prints and to just enjoy a day out by the ocean. A lot of our group ended up picking up shells and taking shells back with them, although I cautioned them that you need to really check what customs says you can do, because in a lot of countries you are not allowed to take shells or coral or any of those things back with you through customs to your country. So be careful if you're collecting things that you know the rules. We ended up not taking these back, but they were fun to collect while we were there. I love the signs. If you're in, like I went to Mexico, a stop sign says Alto. If you're in South Africa, the signs are in English, but I love how things are said just a little bit different than what we would say at home. At home we would say no right turn. I love this. Right turners give way to pedestrians. In other words, stop if there's a pedestrian there. We went to the square where Mandela gave a famous speech, and right next to it was the market. In the market, there was all kinds of fun trinkets and gifts, and we ended up buying things like wood bowls, and I bought my pillow covers there that had the animals of South Africa on them to put on my couch. We bought scarves, little toys for the kids. We got a big wooden hippopotamus here. We bought a lot of the souvenirs that we bought in South Africa, actually in Cape Town. The prices were good, and the market was just fun, and the choices were so numerous for unique things that we had not run into before. One side note is that this is a good place if you need to visit the bank. There's a bank right on the corner of the market that was easy to use and a good place to go because there was security there. In my top 10 things to see in Cape Town, right near the top would be the District 6 Museum. The District 6 area, as we learned, was an area that when the segregation started there, it was in 1966, it was declared to be a white-only area. At that time, they drove all the other people out of that area, and then they bulldozed down most of the houses in District 6. It was a very sad time for those people as they were taken from homes that had been a very vibrant community, close community prior to that time. At the District 6 Museum, there are people there who lived there during that time or who had parents who lived there during that time, and they will tell you their stories. What is more interesting than hearing first person in a museum of the things that happened to them and their families as you look around and see the memorabilia there in that museum? That was a very touching point. Like I've told you before, sometimes travel is about the memories you make, and the most memorable ones are something that has an emotion attached to them, an emotional reaction. A large emotional reaction was here in this District 6 Museum due to the fact of people being kind enough to come there and tell their stories. We passed by several schools. Schools are something that always interests me in every country. I like to see what the school systems are like. It seemed like in some areas in South Africa, everyone wore uniforms. Here, I didn't see as many uniforms, at least not in the primary children's schools. But they did have some play equipment, not a lot. Most of them played just on the playground or in the dirt. Soccer seemed to be a big thing. They call it football.